Hey everyone, this is graphic designer Roberto Blake, and welcome to another Photoshop CC tutorial video. Now usually I would do these videos on Thursday, but today I'm doing a special Saturday tutorial to address something that came up in the comments of my Photoshop CC masking tutorial video. Jean commented that the photo in the Photoshop CC masking tutorial video was not very helpful because it was not a real-world image. It had a single color background and quote-unquote any noob can mask that out. Now, since many of you have actually commented that you like that video, I'm not going to insult you by calling you noobs and saying that you like that video because you can't mask out complex images. The reality is that with the Refine Edge tool in versions CS5 through CS6 and CC of Photoshop, it actually really almost doesn't matter whether you have a super complex background or a simple one-color background. You can more or less mask out images with the click selection tool and lasso tool pretty much the same way when using Refine Edge. However, I'm going to just go ahead and do a video with a real-world image, a photograph that I actually shot myself on a Nikon D3200 DSLR camera of my brother for prom, and show you how I actually masked that out. So that's what this tutorial video today is going to be. It's going to be another Photoshop CC masking tutorial using a complex background and real-world practical Photoshop. So let's go ahead and get started. As you can see here in the original image, we have a quote-unquote complex background. There are a lot of different colors here, and even though we have depth of field, you could still call this a complex background. It's not one color, it's many colors. Some of them blend in with the colors of the shirt. So we're going to use the quick selection tool to get our subject, my brother here, out of this background and put him against black like you saw earlier in the final version. And what I'm going to do here really quickly is I'm just going to unclick my layers so I can preserve them here. And I'm just going to pretty much start over with a new layer mask on the background image and then just move forward from there. And I'll get into what the hue and saturation mask that I'm using above is a little later. So for now, you don't really need to worry about that. I'm just going to go ahead and click off some of these layers and start from scratch for you. So here we go. Now again, I'm just going to be using the quick selection tool with Refine Edge, but while I'm using the quick selection tool to make the selection, I'm just going to actually super speed fast forward through that so you guys don't have to wait through all of that for us to get into the actual quote-unquote tutorial part of that. I'm sure by now all of you know how to use the quick selection tool. It's just shortcut Q, and then you select the parts of the image that you actually want to mask out. If you get a portion of the image that you wanted to not select to be part of this isolation mask, just go ahead and use the Alt button and then click on that and move around until you have it deselected, and that should be fine for you. Okay, so with your subject selected, go ahead and click Refine Edge. You're going to notice a series of sliders here. You're going to want to select Decontaminate Colors on the output, slide that over to 100, and then you're going to want to go ahead and make sure you have Smart Radius selected. And you're just going to adjust these things as you see fit, whatever you think is going to be good. These settings are what I know will work well for this particular image. If you don't feel like Refine Edge did a good job of getting rid of some of the edges, you'll want to use the Shift Edge and move it over to the left into the negative. And in general, I suggest going ahead and adding some contrast when you want to do this. Once you're using the mask view so that you can see this white on black to see the mask, the contrast will make more sense to you, and you can adjust the slider on that as you see fit to make your image better. If you end up masking out areas that you don't want to with this, you can adjust your slider settings, and you can also use the Erase Tool brush instead of the Refine Edge brush over there, and that will bring back anything that you've taken away that you want to bring back into your image. You just paint that back in, and then you're fine. So just do that, and you'll be able to correct anything that you feel you overdid. And then you'll be able to go back in with the brush and just get rid of what you want to. And as you can see here, that's working out rather well. we got what we needed. And again, you can just do this as your photograph calls for. There's really no ultimate refine edge, master selection that you can make that's going to be absolutely perfect. There's no mathematical formula for this. It is quote unquote art, so it's subjective and you have to determine what's right for your image. I can't tell you what's right for your image without it sitting right in front of me. But for this image, we didn't really have to do too much, and that's because in Photoshop CS6 and Photoshop CC, the selection tools, the refine edge tools, all of these things have been optimized. They really don't bring that up a lot on the Adobe site, but I've noticed the improvement because I've been using different versions of Photoshop for a very long time. I started back in Photoshop version 7, which was before the Creative Suite ever got started, so I'm a little more familiar with it. Go ahead and use the black and white matte to just see what you need to clean up in your mask. And one of the things that really pays off here is the contrast tool. You can shift that around and you can just get a better overall selection. And you should also use this to kind of keep track of things so that if you can't get it with refine edge, you can do it with your actual brush tool once the mask is complete. So we're just going to kind of toggle through and see this. You can see that this won't just work on black, this will work on white, because someone might say, oh, well, you did that on black so that we won't see any of the flaws or mistakes. No, you can see clearly here that even on white it comes out rather well. So there we go. And again, this is just the masking portion. When you want to clean up something that you've made like this, there's a lot more that you can do with retouching to perfect it that wasn't covered by the masking. You can adjust levels, curves, and you can use other things like an additional hue and saturation layer to clean up any color bleed over, from the lighting or the background or what have you. And that's what my hue and saturation layer above this really was for, was just to clean up, any of the light that was left over, especially in the hair. So that's how, we take advantage of that. And I'm toggling back and forth just so you can see, how clean this mask is and that we don't really have any of that background left at all. And, that was a complex background. There was a lot to that. So it's not a solid color. It's not one plain color. It was a background with different colors and texture values and lighting. So, there's that. With the hue and saturation, you can just go ahead and make a hue and saturation adjustment layer. Take the saturation all the way down as if you were making a black and white photo, and then you paint back in with your mask anything that you want to strip the color out of. And again, if you have color bleed over from lighting or what have you, you can do that. You could also use this for some retouching in places where you might have, bloodshot eyes or whatever. So it's just another retouching tool that you can use. And I'm just being nitpicky here and going back and just kind of making some pixel perfect adjustments to this photograph because I really can't help myself with that sometimes. But as you can see, we've masked this out and it's looking really good considering how complex that background is, and you more or less wouldn't know that we shot this against white. And I'm just going to get rid of some of these blemishes here. I'm sorry, I'm having an OCD moment while I'm doing this. I apologize. I really just can't help myself sometimes when I get into Photoshop. I have to correct things. I can't look at them imperfect, and that's just a habit of mine. So again, I apologize. And you're just getting a little something extra aside from the masking right now because, again, OCD. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for this Photoshop masking tutorial. We've effectively showed you how to mask out a complex background in Photoshop. Again, I hope you guys will like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't be afraid to let me know what you guys actually think in the comments, because you never know. I might decide within the hour to do a completely new tutorial video just because you wrote a comment. So, there you have it. Anyway, Gene, this one's for you. There you go. Real world Photoshop, masking off of an actual photograph, not a stock photo, against a complex background. So I hope you appreciate it. Anyway, like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next Photoshop CC tutorial video. They're usually on Thursdays. All right, thanks for watching.